Thank you for still joining me. This is the next session. Follow up on the hurdles we jump to make sure our message gets across seamlessly, smoothly. Now, you sometimes say what you wish your spouse should hear the first time and understand. What you say to your spouse may not necessarily convey what you intend for them to understand. You have this brilliant idea, it might be about something you want to do for the family, for the benefit of the children, but you are not able to convey. Now, don't put being right as the first thing. Just make sure you are a good communicator. Being right will just boost your ego possibly, but what you intend to achieve may not be. So I've said something as we derive these points from the hurdles that we learned from Norman Wright. Sometimes you say things you wish your spouse should hear and understand for the first time. That's understand, hear it for the first time and understand it. What you say to your spouse may not necessarily convey what you intend for them to understand. What your spouse might hear, you say should or could differ from what you wished you said. In other words, the original intention, the original intent of your heart to make sure this is communicated. Your spouse has a different understanding. She understood something different. All right? And then what your spouse thinks they hear may vary or may veer off your point completely. It's now trying to respond or to tell you what he or she heard. They are sharing what they think you said and they've veered off completely. Now, what your spouse says about what you said might likely confirm that you were totally or by some means misunderstood. Now, this calls for maturity, calls for patience. It calls for just being patient. To be able to let the other person understand you. Now, you are sharing this for the other person to understand. And then here comes the last point I made from those hurdles. What you eventually think about what your spouse said, about what you said, could spiral and intensify the misunderstanding of the whole communication. So it can just get bad, that it makes the whole misunderstanding to be worse. All right? Because sometimes we try to add meanings to what people say. So we are going to enter into another session where, how do we resolve that? If things are like that, then will we ever be able to be communicating? Yes, we can. We sure can. Now, Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 29 says something which I think it's the right time for us to hear this. This is all that I have learned. God made us plain and simple, but we have made ourselves very complicated. It is not God who made you to be complicated. Your upbringing, and then you yourself, the meanings you read into things that are not, you make things complicated. You form ideas without confirming them. You don't verify things, you just take things on face value. Somebody says something, you attach a meaning that has nothing to do with that. Somebody is telling you, can you unhang that cloth? Like one of our teachers shared. Because it wasn't a conducive atmosphere, the car was running, and the way he said that this person should remove her cloth, the person interpreted that he was expressing anger. Why? That's what she knows to be anger, because of how it was said. But he said it that way because he wanted her to hear in a moving vehicle. No, may not have been, very sophisticated cars that we have now. It's not everybody who is able to afford a brand new car, a brand new Tesla from day one. Some people had to use very bad second-handed car. And so they manage it. It's not only that it's not sophisticated, it's that it's noisy. It's not only that it's not sophisticated, it's that the heat is blowing in. So it's noisy, hot. There's no air conditioner. Now, in an attempt to let the person know so that the clothes doesn't fly away, the shirt doesn't fly away, or the dress doesn't fly away, the person attaches a meaning because of how it is said. So it's also very important for us to note what you say is important. But maybe the most important is how you say it. You are saying something that is very good, but how do you say it? Are you saying it in a way that it is totally misunderstood? And you that is listening, are you hearing it with other things in your mind? Because when you do that, you are complicating matters. You have to be careful how you hear, as much as you are careful what you hear. The Lord taught the two. Be careful what you hear. He also said, be careful how you hear. Okay, so that is one of the facts we naturally do not like to face up to, that we make things complicated most times, especially adults. As adults, you project the way you feel about something, or because that's what you do. If you give things to others because you want them to do something for you, it's most likely when somebody gives something to you without any meaning attached, just that the person is a giver and just feels like blessing you, you are likely going to attach the meaning, because that's what you do. We project our own feelings, our emotions, our sentiments on others, and that is wrong. So like I said, as we are going on, we are going to look at how do we overcome this on our own part. How do we handle that so that we do not make things unnecessarily complicated? So that in a family setting, in a marriage setting, when we communicate, we don't go into sarcasm. We don't go into confusing each other, or say one thing and mean the other. When you crack a joke, it's a joke. When the other person cracks the same joke, it's another thing. It means something different. How do we handle all those things? Now, we're going to take it step by step. I'm tempted to run ahead of myself, but I'm doing my best to make sure I discipline myself. So I try as much as possible to make sure we don't go beyond 10 minutes at most. So I look forward to seeing you in the next recording. And I'm believing that you are taking down notes. And if you want to get more of this, get the book itself. All right. And on this same page, at the end, you'll be able to get the book. Otherwise, if that changes, we'll let you know. All right. God bless you.